And it is about ensuring that we give people a voice. It is shedding light on stories. It is about truth to power, holding people accountable. And it is just about informing and giving people a better sense of what is going on in the world.
What is the role of media in society? Has it evolved? What are we here for?
So I think the basic role of media in society hasn't changed, that being its role to inform, to educate, to entertain. I think it's perhaps our relationship with media that has changed. And that has been relatively recent, I think. When you consider how intimate our relationship is with media today, how complex, how omnipresent media is, and that is as a result of the development of mobile phones and social media. There is no doubt about that. So our relationship has very much changed for better and for worse, I think. And to that extent, I think this is a revolution rather than an evolution. We talk about how our relationship with, or the role of media has changed. It's definitely a revolution as far as I'm concerned. What's our role? Well, at CNN, we still have a very basic role, which is to tell the truth and to tell the truth accurately. We are a news and information service. And it is about ensuring that we give people a voice. It is shedding light on stories. It is about truth to power, holding people accountable. And it is just about informing and giving people a better sense of what is going on in the world. That hasn't changed. What also hasn't changed is the importance of us being on the ground at any one time to report on what is going on. I was on the ground almost immediately after the earthquake struck in Turkey and Syria recently, reporting from the ground, on the ground. And that is incredibly important. And we are also across platforms these days. So the on-the-ground reporting hasn't changed. Perhaps what has changed is how we get to people that we are talking to across TV, digital devices and social media.
Is public trust in the media declining? Why?
I think there is a concerted effort by very powerful people to undermine our trust in media. And I think to a certain extent that has been successful. I think there has been a very cynical attempt to ensure that the inconvenient truth at times is sold as fake news, peddling false and misleading information dressed up as facts. That is not fact. Fake news is not facts first information. We're in the business of facts, truthful reporting, accurate reporting, and I think there has been an enormous attempt to undermine truth-telling. And there are some very partisan, very divisive organizations that are peddling misinformation, disinformation, and lies. And that oftentimes preys on people's vulnerabilities and people's insecurities. And I think the echo chamber that is social media can perpetuate those lies. And so we end up in a situation where I think there is a trust deficit in traditional media, and it is our job to ensure that we continue to tell the truth accurately and to verify the information out there to ensure that we are correct.
Does the Western media have a stereotypical view of the Middle East, or is that changing?
I think the Western media oftentimes do have a stereotypical impression of the Middle East. And perhaps that is as a result of the relationship that the West has had in the recent past with the Middle East. That relationship has often been founded on stories of conflict, issues of conflict, the lens has been about inequality and poverty, and I'm not suggesting for a moment that that hasn't been a lens which is important, but I genuinely believe that in a region which is so young, the majority of people here under the age of 30, and is experiencing such societal change and has embraced in so many parts of this region this sense of creativity and innovation. There are emerging trends across this region that we as media have a responsibility to tell. When we talk about the sort of basic role of media, it is to inform, educate and entertain. And I just think about e-gaming as a revolution in this region when we talk about the role in telling stories and entertaining. But I do think in educating and informing people around the world, it is absolutely imperative that we really understand and open the lens, open the aperture on the lens, and really begin to ensure that we are telling stories about this region, on this region, and from this region. And it's the reason why I think it's so important that an organisation like CNN is here in the region, reporting on the region for not just a regional audience, but for a global audience, getting a regional perspective on stories for a global audience. So I think that there is still a problem in perpetuating stereotypes in this region, but I hope we're on the move, and I hope that us being in this region is part of that process.
What will it take for the region to develop a vibrant news media ecosystem? How can local talent be nurtured?
I think this very building is a good example of how this region is nurturing a more innovative and exciting media environment. This is a multi-million-dollar investment by CNN here at the Yas Creative Hub to ensure that we are on top of our game in the content that we build from this region and on this region, and the storytelling that comes from this region. So this is a really exciting chapter for us, but we've been in the region for years, and we have been telling stories on this region and from this region for a long time. It's just this opportunity at this stage to really continue to evolve, I think, which is so exciting. Go outside of the walls of this CNN bureau here in Abu Dhabi, and you reveal the new Yas Creative Hub, which is a real game changer for Abu Dhabi, and I think for the UAE, the opportunity for the entire ecosystem of media to take advantage of a facility like this to ensure that there is not just an appetite to evolve, but there is physical infrastructure within which to ensure that we are successful. So I think this Yas Creative Hub is a really exciting opportunity. Fostering local talent is a huge passion of mine and a responsibility of mine here as the managing editor of CNN in Abu Dhabi. And we have launched from here a hugely successful and innovative program under the umbrella of CNN Academy. And through CNN Academy, we have been training young journalists, young content creators, young storytellers from the UAE and around this region and beyond. They've had an opportunity to really immerse themselves in CNN's entire organisation through the training that we've been giving them. And we've been challenging these youngsters through highly innovative and first of its kind in the industry simulation program, which has really given these students an opportunity to immerse themselves in a breaking news situation where they get the tools to really understand what it takes to be in a fast-paced, moving news environment. Safe to fail, it's a simulation, but really giving them those added tools that you're not going to get out of college, you're not going to get out of a relatively staid journalistic environment. This really gives these youngsters an opportunity to get their arms around what it means to be a journalist, and we're very, very proud of what we're doing, and we can only see this growing. I mean, CNN Academy is really extending into a global program, and it started in Abu Dhabi, and I'm extremely proud of that.
What are the emerging new technologies you are betting on for news media?
In terms of news media, I think one of the most exciting emerging technologies or tools that we have is forensic journalism. The combination of open source analysis with some really exciting, very new tools of verification, geolocation, data-led journalism, which we are combining with traditional journalism to really reveal distinctive enterprise work that we might otherwise not have been able to get to the heart of. And we've been doing forensic journalism in Ukraine recently, in Iran, on stories out of Israel. If I'm really excited about anything at the moment, I think that provides such a new layer to what we do as journalists.
What has been your biggest challenge in the newsroom?
I think the biggest challenge in the newsroom is the plethora of information. There is sort of information overload, and it's particularly, over the last, decade or so with the emergence of social media, everything is available to you. The notion that we have to ensure that everything is fact-checked, everything is verified, so that people who see things perhaps on social media say to themselves, is that true? Is that factual? Let me go to CNN to ensure that it is. We still, that's the confidence that we have for people who come to CNN. They come for factual information. They come because they know that we are verifying our sources. But there's a plethora of information out there, so it is an exhausting process. But it's an enlightening process. It's an engaging process. The journalists who work for CNN are, I think, impassioned by what they do when it comes to verifying and sourcing material. So, information overload is exhausting, but it makes us better journalists at the end of the day.